Hi everyone, it's Brookline and you're watching another movie of the week, and the movie this week was The Hunger Games from 2012, so if you haven't watched it, watch it now. If you're new to a movie of the week, as I talk about a movie here and you guys comment below your thoughts, and in 2024, we're doing franchise and movie dates and things of those elements, and so I picked two Hunger Games movies. We did the Hunger Games, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes from last week. So you haven't watched it, watch that now. And then now we're doing this Hunger Games movie. And there's a certain reason why I wanted to do that, and I'll talk about it now. So I was a big fan of Hunger Games, and I kind of talked about all of this in my last video, but I never read I read all the books, the Hunger Games books, but not the Ballad one. And so I watched that movie and I really liked that movie, and then I rewatched the first movie and I thought it was really interesting to compare, and I feel like there's many different ways you can compare the movies. You can watch all three movies and then watch the Ballad movie or whatever order, but I think there's something interesting about this order because the Ballad takes place in the 10th Hunger Games, this takes place in the 74th Hunger Games, so it's 64 years later, but this came out before the Ballad. So there's something like so unique and interesting about it. And I was able, even this time compared to last time, I was like able to pick up like interesting things. Like something I didn't notice is right away, like in the first scene with Gale, with Katniss, Gale is saying like it's all a show, like all these things, like he's talking about like about the Hunger Games. It's crazy because like when you're just watching Hunger Games, it goes over your head, but after you do that, after watching your first movie, you're like, yeah, like they changed, like it's crazy like how it became a show, how it became this thing where in the 10th Hunger Games, no one was watching it. People were disgusted by it. People didn't want to do it anymore, but there was like a couple people, like the game maker, there was a couple people who wanted to keep it going. And President Snow, Cornelius Snow, at the 10th Hunger Games didn't necessarily wanted to keep it going. He just wanted to do this great thing and get this great score. And so he's coming up with ideas to impress the person, because he wanted to impress the person who cares about the Hunger Games, which is interesting because that's just how it was. And he's someone who's really smart and who came up with all these really great ideas that we now see in the 74th Hunger Games. And it's something where he also loved this person that like then broke his heart, and so he was just also very darkened by it, that he went back and all this stuff. Anyway, as we can see, there's so many different things about the 74th Hunger Games. Like they are treated, and they actually also, that's something I noticed, is they go really into the emphasis of like how well they're treated before the Hunger Games. Like they do this really great emphasis, like even whatever her name said it, like I just makes me happy that you guys at least get to experience this for a while. And it's something where they're in the 10th Hunger Games, they're all thrown into one train with no food and like nowhere, and like where are we going? It's like a fancy train. They get all this luxurious food, all this luxurious things, and all these elements, and then as soon as they pull into the Capitol, they want to see them. They're already fans of them. And it kind of reminds me because like I watch sports and I recently got into Formula One, and so it's something where we like watch Formula One, and if you're a Formula One fan, we watch Formula One, and it's kind of interesting because it's like 20 drivers there, and the Hunger Games is 24 people, so 20 drivers there, and we all have like our favorite driver, and we always have our favorite team, but in this case, let's just say our favorite driver, and we're rooting for the driver and all these things. It's like the same thing in the Hunger Games, where it's like we're rooting. Well, that's the point of it. It's like you're rooting for these people. You want a good show. All those things. We have that same thing in Formula One. We don't want a boring race. We want an entertaining race. And it's the same thing, but at the end you want your favorite driver to win. And so it's just like this element about society and capitalism, of how like everything, I feel like this way in movies and TV shows, they make everything so dramatic and all this stuff just to have a story, and it's like that's not real life, but they over dramatize it so that there's a story and all this stuff. And that's what they do with the Hunger Games. And it's something where like the Hunger Games would be so interesting if people didn't die. That's not the point, but there's something element about like people dying, people sacrificing, and then people don't caring. Like it's the nuances of like not caring for it, I guess. It's also something else that's so different is the way that people look. Like it's something that I think they don't really touch on, but it's actually important. It's like this idea that we go in the future about like certain standards of how you're supposed to look and beauty and what you're supposed to wear, and how you know, with the rich and stuff, and how they were able to do that, and how they, you know, these people don't even look good, they just look kind of crazy, and how that was developed in a way of just showing even more like the wealth divide. Anyway, I could go on and on and on about it. Now when you're seeing stuff from President Snow's perspective, you know, any time that there is probably District 12, he probably always reminds him of Lucy Gray. And especially this girl who, like, for once in her life has like a chance to win, it always reminds them of Lucy Gray. And it's also something that they don't, you know, Lucy Gray's existence and probably the 10th Hunger Games in general, like, was gone away. Like, all this stuff, like, no one knows about her and all this crazy things. But also then he sees this thing where it's like these two lovebirds, and it's crazy that this is the first time that's happened in the Hunger Games. Literally, like, two other contestants haven't like fallen in love. Like, something we see where, like, you know, especially if they're from the same district, they like kind of, you know, work together, but you don't see them falling in love. And it's something where he is reminded of him and Lucy Gray when he sees it. And so it's like something like that. And he also knows it's not real. Because he knows it's not real, and he knows it's a show, and he knows he created this show, and it makes him angry that it's not real because it's a show and people are falling for it when he actually really loved this person. So there are so many nuances that you pick up from, you know, first watching the 10th Hunger Games versus, you know, watching just this. There's more things you pick up watching this, you know, than if you watch just the 10th Hunger Games. And there's so many differences in just how the Hunger Games run, and just so many involvement, you know, with it. And yeah, and so he, you know, what he did is also this whole thing that I also picked up on this time is about how he said, you know, in the 10th Hunger Games there has to be a victor. Like, he wanted her to live. Like, the game maker wanted Lucy Gray to die, but he wanted her to live and was caring for her and wanted her to live. And this one, there was almost no winner too in the 74th Hunger Games. And it's something, you know, he also talked about it earlier at a point too, like, why do we have a victor? Why don't we just kill them all? You know, it's something too where, like, there was kind of some stemming of the worlds where there's now two victors, and it just opens this whole boat. And there's so many elements that I could get into it, but I think this video, I mean, I've had longer videos. This video could be longer, but it's just so interesting how I've done this before, where I watch the 10th Hunger Games and then watch the 74th Hunger Games. I've just been calling them. It's just easier to say the Hunger Games movie. But I've done this before, and it's something where now, even though I've done it before, I'm already picking up on so much more. And I just, again, think Suzanne Collins is a genius, and I'm super excited. I don't think I'm going to read the book because I'm just, sorry, Suzanne, don't hate me. But I'm super excited for Haymitch's Hunger Games, and I'm trying to think, like, what will President Snow be then? And a part of me wonders if he was the head game maker before he was the president. So maybe we'll see him as, like, the head game maker in that Hunger Games. And I'm just kind of interested to see, like, what else Suzanne can bring to the plate, and then maybe in the future we can compare that as well. But I'm gonna end it here because I want to give you guys some time in life, you know, not make these videos too long. But the next two movies we're gonna do is My Big Fat Greek Wedding and My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2. I know there was a third one that came out. I have not seen the third one, and I also think I put this on my list before the third one came out. So anyway, we're just gonna do the first two, but it's kind of weird too because my Big Fat Greek Wedding 1 came out in 2002, and then the second one came out a lot later, and then the second one and the third one came out, you know, closer together. I just have not seen the third one. Anyway, we're gonna watch the My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2 from 1 from 2002 for next week, and then, you know, comment all your thoughts about Hunger Games below. But thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and bye.